This is Johnny Phillips with Junior Achievement of New Jersey, where we prepare students to succeed in a global economy.
Hi, this is Christina Watkins. I'm a financial solutions advisor at Bank of America and Merrill, and I'm here to contribute.
Christina, thank you for taking the time out of your morning to shoot this quick fireside chat with me. To start, would you mind sharing your job story, meaning any jobs you've had in the past and how that correlates to what you do now with Bank of America?
Sure. So my job story starts with my first two jobs. They're, I think, very pivotal to me and where I am in life. My very first job when I was 15 is I worked in a retirement home. I worked in the kitchen area, and my second job when I was like 17 was I worked in retail. I worked at a major department store.
Mm.
So my gift or my tidbit to young people is don't be overly concerned with the pay per hour or the title for a job, but just try to do the best job possible for whatever you're assigned and be flexible and open to learn. Because I worked in the kitchen, so I ran the dishwasher. I placed food on trays. I carried trays for older people who couldn't get from the buffet to their table. So not like hard labor, but I learned a lot about getting the bus to work, at 15, getting up and getting there on time, and the sacrifices of coming in early means you can get off early. And even when I worked in retail, the valuable lesson I learned was, again, being flexible. If you're open to learn, they can put you in any department, and building relationships with your coworkers, and even if you don't like your manager, treat them well, because you never know. They might be writing your recommendation for your next position. So, yeah, those are some good tips that I learned from my first
Nice.
job.
Nice. And it sounds like you're doing work with some purpose to start off, right? Some good work is patient, but you're fulfilling some sort of purpose. And then working in retail is something that I think a lot of us can relate to having to do at some point. So thank you for sharing that. And would you mind explaining how your education path might have leveraged that or kind of propelled that experience you had early on leading into your career now?
Sure. And so education-wise, I live here in Cincinnati. I just went to just a regular high school. It wasn't like a special private school or anything. And I was a good student. I liked school, and I tried to apply myself, not necessarily for college. I don't think I was thinking of college at the time, but just wanted to be a good student. I wanted to get good grades, and it really did come in handy later when it was time to submit applications. They wanted to know, what are your grades and what are the extracurricular activities that you participate in beyond just your regular schoolwork, and any kind of volunteer at your church or in your neighborhood. But again, just like with jobs, with school, it's important to build relationships. Having a teacher that cared about you and your progress and was willing to write a recommendation for a scholarship or for a some program. So education, I went to UC, University of Cincinnati. I actually wanted to attend Capital University, but it was a private school and the tuition was way more than my financial aid. And so my parents said, you need to go where you can pay. And so UC offered me a full ride, a 4-year scholarship. I had to maintain my GPA to keep it, but that's where I went and finished my degree. And later, as an adult, I went back and earned my master's, and it was more challenging because I had family by then, and I was already working. But the tip or tool that I would leave with young people, one is when it comes to schools, maybe start with the end in mind. What is it that you like? What is it that you want to do? And then back into, what is required for that role. Maybe I don't need a 4-year degree. Maybe I can just get a certification or, get some degree, something that'll make you stand out when you apply for a position against the other hundreds of people that are applying for that same role. But, don't get locked in that you have to get this 4, 6, 8-year degree, depending on what you want to do. But definitely invest in yourself and get something to make you stand out in a crowd when you're applying for that position.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned the ability to get certifications, right? Especially in today's day and age, everything's technology. In this virtual space, we don't really have to go get a degree to say you have certain qualifications. You can go get certified in pretty much anything nowadays via LinkedIn, and any one of these learning platforms. So, thank you for sharing that. And it sounds like your education was pretty powerful. So, would you mind telling us what it is you majored in and what you went back to get your master's in, and if that aligns with what you do in work?
Yeah, so when I attended UC, my bachelor's program was communications, which is kind of like a business degree. I
Okay.
was really interested in broadcasting, but that required me to transfer to the College Conservatory of Music. I was halfway done with my program, so I wasn't really willing to make that switch at that time. But man, just a basic business degree, I was able to stack it. So I would encourage young people to stack your degrees. Don't go to school for two totally different industries. You want
Hmm.
your degree to work for you. And I used to always say two associates does not equal a bachelor. So when you finish one degree, build on it. Don't, keep getting more of the exact same degree. Um, yeah, I feel very fortunate. So my master's was in business administration. And again, it was stacking on some of the skill sets that I had already learned about, that had some more life experience to contribute. My in-person learning was at UC. My online degree was with the University of Phoenix. It was flexible, so the very first week and the very last week of class was in person, and then the rest of the time was online. And I can't stress enough about building relationships.
Yeah.
You have these team assignments. It's like we dreaded them because your grade was totally dependent on your team doing all the work together. Um, I thought it was very indicative to real life. I tell my teenagers, some of the same challenges that you have are the challenges that I have, but it's
Mm.
not my teacher, it's my boss. So you have to learn how to build relationships, learn how to work with people effectively to meet a common goal. So, yeah.
Right. So the idea of kind of building on your already existing interests and what you've learned, but the idea and the importance of networking and being able to use your network as a resource, whoever it may be, whether it's a teacher, someone in the workplace, someone you meet, outside, but they'll give you advice and they'll be able to direct you in a way where it's, I'm interested in this and I see this person doing this. Maybe I can take the next step and go ahead and, advance myself. So thank you for that, Christina. That's really good advice. And you've already given some pretty good advice throughout this entire talk. But if you can go back and give your younger self any piece of advice, what do you think you would go back and say?
Well, I think it's kind of broad, but I would say, which I did, but I would do it even more. I would say invest in yourself,
Hmm.
figuratively and literally. Invest in yourself. So we talk about education. Yeah, it costs money to make money. Or everything valuable costs something. It might be your time, it might be your energy, but invest in yourself. If there's something that you feel like you don't know, you should have learned, but you didn't, it's take some ownership in getting the things that you need, and don't be so concerned about where that comes from.
Hmm.
So they're like, oh man, I should have learned this in school, but I didn't. Okay, but now there's YouTube and Google. There's the internet, or reach out to somebody who can advise you in that area. So taking some ownership, invest in yourself. I know you probably hear people say, pay yourself first. When you get your first
Hmm.
job, you want to buy all these things, a nicer phone, or nice shoes. But invest in yourself means thinking about the future, because when you look up, it's here. And when I was 17, when I was 21, I was making money, but I was spending money.
Yeah.
And knowing what I know now, I said, man, I just blew it. I blew it. I didn't have any real responsibilities, but I don't have anything to show for that time
Yeah.
frame. So I would definitely say, when your employer asks you, like, oh, do you want to contribute to retirement? Say yes. Say yes. Go ahead and put some money to the side, and then don't go back and get it. And when you change jobs, roll it over. Don't touch it.
Hmm.
Just continue to invest in yourself figuratively and literally, by putting money away, uh, saving for a rainy day, because it is going to rain, guaranteed,
Yeah.
and in yourself. with your time and your friendships and relationships. And, you know, if there's something you want to learn, you take ownership and you get busy um, finding where you can learn that skill.
Hmm. I like how you started that off. It costs money to make money, right? I think a lot of people don't realize that you have to spend money to get things back. And one of the biggest investments you can put into yourself is education. Don't be afraid of those loans. Don't be afraid of the cost of tuition or on books or transportation. See it as an investment, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, if you make a plan,
Yeah,
it'll come back and you'll pay the dividend. So, Christina, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your morning, for sharing some insight with us. We say your time is one of the most valuable things you can give. So from Junior Achievement, we really do appreciate you. Happy holidays, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
thank you. Happy holidays.